Okay, guys. So, CV building and interview skills is what we are talking about today. And even while I'm speaking, if you guys have some questions, please keep putting it on the chat. Okay? Can we move on to the next slide? I would like to show what we are hoping to talk about. So, I'll start the discussion by talking about where to start the job hunt from. And then we'll talk about CV writing. And then we'll go on. We'll probably take some questions after the segment on CVs, and then we'll move on to talking about about interviews. And I'll share some tips and hacks in the process. I hope everybody is comfortable with Hindi and English. So if I mix my language up, is that all right? Uma?
Mostly, I think it should be okay. If somebody does have an issue, please mention it.
Yeah,
That's mostly from colleges in Delhi, other than very few of them. So I think it should be okay. If somebody does have a problem, please mention it in the chat. That will take care of it.
Sure. So I'm going to start the discussion by how to get going about a job hunt, because CV writing is not actually just a writing job. It's not something that can happen overnight. It requires a lot of introspection and a lot of analysis of who you are, where you want to be, and things of that sort. So we'll start from addressing that aspect, and I hope that we will be able to redefine the way you guys look at CV writing right now. Moving on, next slide, please. So, this is a model that I think I should share with youngsters today, where basically how to get to knowing what job is the right job for you. Right now, the world is like it's open to you, and you guys look at it, really excel, and you can build a career for yourself. So the first answer that I get from an 18-20-year-old today is that this is what I'm passionate about. So this is what I want to do. But that passion alone is not enough. A lot of people are very passionate, but they fail. They fail in being able to market themselves. They fail in making the right networks. They fail in making connections. So why does that happen? That happens because they are not balancing their passion with the other aspects that come in career goal setting. So goal setting for yourself becomes the primary step on how you go about writing your CV. So you need to balance out your passion, then your talent. So you may feel very passionate about world peace, okay, bringing about world peace, but do you have the talent to do that? Okay, and how accessible are the opportunities that you feel so passionately about, and does it really pay? Things that you need to consider when you're actually thinking about a domain where you want to establish yourself. And when I say what pays, payment does not necessarily just mean money. It does not have to come in your bank account. You, of course, need enough money to live. Okay, that means to feed yourself and have your basic amenities taken care of. But is it rewarding? Is the experience rewarding? A lot of youngsters today are taking up fellowships. They're going to the mountains to set up schools. They're going to rural areas to partner as volunteers with state governments. Why are they doing that? Because it's a very rewarding experience and it looks great on your CV. Because later, when your career objective changes, as you mature, right now you guys want to change the world. Tomorrow, you're going to probably not want to change the world so much, but focus more on yourself. And when you get there, when you're evolving, you have actually built on your experiences in such a way that they can contribute to the way you're maturing. So the right way to start hunting for a job or to carve a niche, when you're doing internships right now, is to understand what you feel passionate about and balance it with the accessibility of opportunities and how rewarding or what is the payback. What are you getting back for yourself when you're looking at these opportunities? So start from there, and when you're looking at opportunities, put a roadmap of this sort for yourself. A lot of thinking has to happen from your end. You have to learn to socialize with yourself. This is something that I tell all youngsters that I meet, that you have to learn to have these kind of difficult conversations with yourself, where you are exploring. Somebody asked me in the beginning how to answer the question about my strengths and weaknesses. कैसे बताओगे किसी और को कि आपके strengths और weakness क्या है जब आपने खुद ही कभी सोचा नहीं है. How do I overcome my weakness? What are the 5 things that I'm really good at, and what are the 3 things that I should probably be introspection? Then you prepare yourself to make applications, generate opportunities, and move forward to gain experience.
Archana, I think we have a network issue. Is she audible to you guys? No, right?
Sorry?
Okay. Archana, your last 30 seconds or so got stuck. So can you repeat that bit?
Yeah, I was primarily telling you guys that the first step to writing your CV or to generate a CV would be to start by asking yourself a few questions, socializing with yourself, I call it. Also about, having a conversation with yourself about who you are, where you see yourself 5 years down the line, doing some sort of goal setting, thinking of, your talent, your passion, what the rewards are usually. So doing some sort of a study of yourself. That was my last 30 seconds. Can we go on to the next slide, please? So can you guys tell me over chat, what is a CV? I'm looking at my chat section. Anybody, what do you guys think is a CV?
You guys will have to go type it in and send it. Make sure you are
like a lot of people wrote in saying that they want to make their CV better. Think better if you don't know what it is. Okay, mentioning our accomplishments, resume, curriculum vitae, a piece of paper which describes in brief your skills and qualifications, a representation of ourselves, our achievements, and our qualifications. A written format which tells us what we are and what we have and what we are aspiring for. That's a very nice choice of words, Muskan. Course of life. Okay. Overview of someone's work. Great. Okay. I hope you guys are not using Google to do this, okay? Because wo mere paas bhi hai. Of everything we've done and achieved, basically an advertisement of ourselves. Very good, Dhananjay. That's a very nice choice of words. The next slide, Uma.
Can you see the next slide? Is it up?
Yes, I can. Okay. Yes. So here I have put down the definition of a CV. Okay, so a CV, somebody rightly pointed out as course of life. It's inspired from the Latin phrase curriculum vitae, which means course of life. So it's basically a detailed document that tells your professional and academic history. It includes information like your work experience, achievements, coursework, research projects, publications, all of that. So basically a summary of what you have done becomes your CV. And no, a CV is not the same as a resume also. Okay, so we use, so the major difference is in length, okay, of CV and your resume. And also we use CV mainly for academic jobs, whereas a resume is like a short thing that you can use over any profession. But this difference is not there in India. So when you look at a lot of people, when I do these discussions, say ki, I know the difference between a CV and a resume, but practically speaking, in our country, in our job sectors, these words are used interchangeably. So when you look, if somebody is asking you for a CV or somebody is asking you for a resume, it does not automatically mean that they are asking you for two different things. And it's absolutely fine to ask the person who is offering the job that, boss, do you want a resume? Do you want something elaborate, or are you looking for a brief CV? So that's that kind of a question you can ask. Nobody's going to kill you for it. No matter what the document is that you are sending to the employer, the matter is that this is basically an advertisement of who you are. Okay, so it's not about how nicely you can how many pages you can fill with your experience. It's more about how nicely you can present yourself. So imagine, this is an advertisement and you are a product, and your objective with the advertisement is to win over a hiring manager. Long back, a hiring manager is usually an HR executive or an HR manager or somebody who's in human resource. But now, like, workspaces have become so democratic and things have changed so much. Even line managers are hiring. There are organizations where the setup is so different that every department head hires for his own team. So they don't have a whole separate department that handles CVs and resumes and incoming applications. They just do it for themselves because they want to keep their department independent. So you could be, who you are talking to in an organization could vary, but your objective is that you're using a marketing tool. So you have to understand that that's where what is your CV, what is your resume? It's an advertisement of yourself. So what all about your life, about your experience can you put out there that could actually get you the goal of into your dream job? So you should understand that instead of, when you are of course going to be elaborately highlighting your professional and academic history, ये सारा बता के मैं employer को क्या बता रहा हूँ अपने बारे में, ये भी सोचना जरूरी है. What is the message that you are conveying about yourself to the person who is reading the CV or the resume is very important, because your CV is not the only CV that they are seeing. They are seeing so many other CVs. They've been in this line of work for a very long time. So even if you're attempting to lie, they will find that out even before you have submitted it. आपका profile देख के ही वो समझ जाते हैं that you're a 20-year-old person and you're talking about experiences like, a 40-year-old guy. So what is the gap over there? They will be able to catch that very quickly, because that's on the job training. By the time you read your 100 CV, you've kind of got the matrix right of how people are and what they think and what they mean when they use certain words. Moving to the next slide, Uma. So what is your employer looking for? What is a prospective employer, the person you are targeting with this marketing tool of yours, with this document of yours, वो क्या चाहते हैं? Basically, they are of course looking for a general presentation, that your CV, a clear alignment of thought. This is who you are and this is where you want to be, and this is how this job will help you get there. This clarity of thought has to be presented in your CV. But there is a small technicality here which a lot of applicants miss out, and that is keywords. What are keywords? Keywords are basically, when you look at a job description on any portal, like say Monster or Jobs for Her or anything of that sort, Indeed or anything, wherever a job description is posted, there will be some requirements that are highlighted. Okay, like 3 years work experience required, or fresher looking to learn a particular skill required, or a self starter is required. There will be a few catchy words like that will give you a sense of what the job entails. Now these keywords, they will have softwares and they will have people to catch these keywords from your CV. So a lot of times you will think that, yeah, the best fit for this job, but you do not hear back from the company. Why? Because maybe your keywords were not there, so your CV did not make it through the first line of check. This is mostly this becomes more relevant when you're applying to well-established big firms. So a very clear understanding of the job description will help you identify what are the key phrases or key words or key skills that you have to highlight. And nowadays there are so many tools and softwares that HR people use to actually sieve through CVs, because so many people are looking for jobs now. Now India is a country where population is so high, competition for every job is so high, so obviously technology was going to come into this field sooner than later, and that is happening now. So you should be aware of that and tweak your CV to include keywords. So no one good CV will not fit all jobs. You will have to keep iterating. You will have to keep editing it and drafting it towards a particular job. Looking at details. Like when I was recently hired, they kept asking me, how I have capitalized in my CV. And they say how when people usually have CVs that are more than 2 pages long, somewhere down the line they forget all these things. Error-free typing, neatness in presentation. But more important, they might even look beyond these details, provided you are able to convey that you can, you want, and you fit for the job. That means you can do the job, you really really want the job, and you will fit into their culture, their work culture, and that you're adaptive. So these are the things that you have to convey to them. Moving on to the next slide, Uma. So I have put 2 CVs here. I'm not sure how clear the wording is, but you don't have to be actually able to read it. I just want to show you the layout. So CV writing has evolved quite a bit, guys. Okay, there is no rule book that you have to seriously follow, and there are no, them all to look a certain way. So a lot of colleges these days, no, they give you formats, and they give you a set template which looks like a letterhead, and they ask you to write in that. The only add-on that gives you is the branding of your college or the institution that you are associated with. But more than that, you can always venture out and look for certain templates or certain ways to innovate. So this Gabrielle's CV that you can see on your screen looks like she's somebody who's into designing, who's into art. She's creative. So that is getting conveyed in the CV without me even being able to, uh, without me even reading what she has written. And I would also like to draw your attention to how she has put her her expertise in a particular skill. Instead of marking it or grading it, she has put it as a bar where you can see her progress, so you know that she's really good at ABCD things, and she's probably reasonably skilled at a few other things. On the other side, we have Radhika Jain, who's a software engineer, and she has put down her CV is more of a fresher CV, because your education is limited. You have only 3 or 4 things to say. Say those 3 or 4 things in a clear, legible way. From this distance also, I can get a sense of what the CV is about. I don't have to sit for 20 minutes to read it. Nobody has 20 minutes to sit with your CV. They will give your CV the 20 minutes when you're actually in the interview. So these are two kinds of CV writing that are good, and you would notice that yahan pe they have not put your photograph. Okay, they haven't used photographs, because you're in the world, in the era of social media. If you think that your employer is not checking you up online, you are greatly mistaken. So because they can get all, so that also means, guys, that when you're writing your CV, when you're looking for jobs, one of the key things to do is to clean up your social media profile. Okay, so that time is over of CV writing, where everything looked like so structured, so rigid. So there's no so much of straight jacketing now. So now you have to sort of tweak yourself and be a little cheeky with your writing and try and get that edge. Clarity of thought is everything. Once you get that perspective of selling, marketing yourself, you will yourself want to design your CV like this. Can we go on to the next slide, Uma? So this is, I'm sure, the kind of CV you guys are used to seeing. These are random CV samples from online. Huh? These are not samples that I have got. So you would see here itself that this is a regular CV that you get. But the content is so loaded and it's so boring to the eye that it becomes quite a task to sit and read it. So but this is also one way of doing it. And if you are in an engineering college or so institution, they may be urging you more and more to conform to something like this, especially if your entire your career launchpad project is routed through their placement cell. They will ask you to do this because they may have their own tie-ups, and their logo brings in some branding and things like that. But if you're going to do this on your own, then you have to be better than this. You have to do more than this. Moving on. Right. So here there are two samples here for CVs, where you can see the one which is crossed out is extremely wordy. By wordy, I mean a lot of words are being used, and there is too much content to read. And the other one, though also equally loaded, has a far better presentation. Now, how do you get to decide what presentation to use for your CV? Now, if you are a fresher, your CV may not be so loaded. Okay, if this internship and your college and maybe 3 or 4 other internships are what you want to talk about, you need not put every single detail about it and make it into a chunky essay, because this is not an essay. When you say I did an internship in the development sector where I was writing 5 articles a day, they don't need to know exactly like what your day-to-day activity was. You just need to tell them that this was the sector, this was the title of the internship, and this is what I did. So I interned in writing, in reporting, so I was a reporting intern, or I was a designing intern, or I was a, so you just have to tell them what was the domain in which you worked. They know what that means by and large, because they have experience. They are not doing this for the first time. You are the one who's doing it for the first time. Moving on. So a few things that a lot of people that I have spoken to in interviews have seriously messed up. One is cleaning up your social media. You think nobody is looking, everybody is looking. Nobody wants to be a magnet to a lawsuit, so everybody goes up and looks on social media. If you're somebody who trolls a lot, if you're somebody who has more than one profile, these are all red marks. So if you are stepping out from college and going into a job, you need to redesign your, just put some thought into your Facebook layout, into your first also get into LinkedIn, because now you're going using social media also to drive your career. Think of personal branding. Okay, so start googling those terms, and maybe when I take questions from you, I will know how much you guys have thought about personal branding. So think of cleaning up your social media. People forget it a lot of times, sends out a very bad impression. Okay, if you are a lax guy, or a person who seems you know too relaxed and too careless about their use of words and spellings and things like that, it sends a wrong impression. So you probably need to clean your act up. You will never see a 40-45-year-old person, or a person who has had more than 10 years of work experience, using their social media so carelessly. Youngsters, they are more free to do so because you are not accountable to anyone. But the minute you realize that somebody is judging you and that somebody is assessing what you're putting up, because it's a, your social media identity has become like a very important part of who you are now. So clean up your social media, get yourself a professional email ID. So for 2 years in the middle, I was only freelancing. So I put a Gmail account for myself where I wrote archana.workspace@gmail.com. And I used to get my freelance projects only there. And I used to use only that account to send out applications. So it sends a good vibe to the person. They're judging you on these things. You don't know it because you think your CV is it, but it's not. Your CV is just a conversation starter. It is a marketing tool. It is not the only marketing tool. And then when you I showed you some templates here, and I showed them very briefly, very intentionally, because I don't want if you guys to think that blindly using templates will get you the job, will do the job for you, will do the thinking for you. Doesn't work like that. Okay, so when you are, because why is that so? Because these templates are also seen by the people who are hiring you, and no two people are the same, right? I'm sure there are 53 people here. Each one of you thinks that you have something different, you offer something different, you bring something different to the table from the other person. So you cannot have one template that decides how every fresher is. So don't go blindly. The internet being a very democratic, open, cost friendly, pocket friendly space has a lot of resources coming up. A lot of people will give you, coaching like the kind that I'm giving you, CV writing, interview writing. But you cannot be a passive participant here. You have to be an active participant here. The writing has to be done by you. The finding the right format has to be done by you. You can refer to a lot of formats, you can refer to a lot of templates, but the actual writing, the actual designing, you should do it on your own, unless you are really aesthetically challenged, which I don't think any youngster these days, because basic editing, photo editing apps and video editing apps and these kind of things you guys are like really good at. I was very technologically challenged when I started out, and if I show you my first CV, it was horrendous. Okay, but the content that I had put over there was something that I was appreciated for even back then. And once you customize your CV, what is customizing your CV? Sometime before I told you guys that you should design your CV with the perspective of your employer. What is the person that who is hiring you? What are they thinking about? तो कैसे CV को customize करते हैं? सबसे पहले तो जो career objective ऊपर लिखते हैं, CV का opening sentence हमेशा एक objective से होता है. आपने भी हर होगा. So that header has to be tweaked for the job. Tweaked to mean what? Like, you can't have a career objective where you're saying, I am planning to be very hardworking, very diligent, and to contribute to the company's goal. Because this is very generic, it will fit any company. But it says nothing about who you are. It says nothing about what your career objective is. So my career objective was to, impact lives. I want to be in a profession where training comes as a day-to-day routine job, and I would like to see myself impacting somebody's life and to see and assess and monitor those changes. So I always attract those kind of jobs in my life. In my career, I have always had roles where training has been a very important part for me. So that's because it gets highlighted in that very first headline. Often the person who's interviewing me has only seen that. They have only seen that, and they have seen Leaders for Tomorrow Fellowship, and that's it. Then because the conversation starts with Binoy sir, with what was I doing with Binoy sir. That's usually the conversation starter for me. So I know that beach में पूरा उन्होंने कुछ नहीं पढ़ा है. They have only read the top part and the bottom part. So that's because everybody's time is, they don't have that kind of time to give you that. And cut out flowery language. They're judging you for your English, but they're actually judging you for your clarity of thought. That is first. There are a lot of people whose English speaking skills or language skills are not really up there, but they have but they really get the job. I'm even now I'm working with somebody who's so fantastically challenged, but fantastically talented. I mean, like, beyond talent, but very behind when it comes to English. But he's hired because he's a tech guy. He's been hired to do the tech job. So English is not the primary skill that they require, right? There they are looking at how updated are you in terms of software developments, how adaptive are you, how quickly can you bring a software and tell the company how it will help the company's business objectives. So how proactive is he? So they're coming from that perspective, and a fantastic team player too. So they hired him. But when you are a fresher, a rule of thumb is format, format, format. Okay, keep reading your CV to see you have capitalized and that everything has the right. Because they are also looking at how savvy you are with MS Word. Okay, that's another reason to format, format, format. You guys can do that because you don't have pages and pages of experience right now. You and me both. My CV is 2 pages long, right? But on the side, what are you doing to build your career? Okay, those thoughts you should keep having. Okay, such as, so I have put it here as skill it up. look for referrals. आप सोचोगे यार हम तो fresher है, हम तो बस अभी college से निकले हैं, what experience can I show my employer? You give me a chance to perform, then I'll give you my experience, na. So here is how, especially right now in this pandemic world, in this world where corona is everywhere, you guys should use this opportunity to upskill. Upskilling means, I'm sure you have heard the word before, but just, in the interest of this being a training, uh, upskilling means look at your 5 or 3 focus areas, okay, your 3 vocational skills. So if you're a journalist, then that, about how to write and things. So those, find your key skills and look for courses that you can do online that will help you add something to your profile and show that you are actually driven towards that particular career objective. Look for referrals, okay, look for your networks, look for people who can vouch for you, and add on experience. Look for internships that are related to that career objective. Randomly doing 20 internships will fill up your CV, but it will not give you any jobs. Why? Because it shows that you are very fickle in your thinking. So that needs to change. So you need to show that focus in your thought. As I told you before, I'll repeat again. They're looking at your clarity of thought. Your CV has to communicate your clarity in your thought about your career objectives. That is what you are looking at doing here. So scale it up, referrals, and add-on experience. I would say that use this time where not so much else is happening in life to do that. We can move. Okay. So this is my warning to everybody that CV writing is not an overnight job. So if you have deadlines coming up, you should start doing this much before and begin with the introspection. That was what we had started our discussion with. And then try to bring your introspection, your thoughts to paper. Write about yourselves. Go into these kind of exercises. Time doesn't allow me to go deep into it, but yeah, like think about, what are your strengths, who am I, okay, what have I learned in my 4 years of college or 3 years of college, what do I want to do in my next 5 years, in the next 10 years, what am I really good at, am I really good at drawing, am I really good at quilling, am I really good at writing? Then all of those can be monetized in today's world, provided you know how to sell it in your CV. So once you have that clarity of thought, finding the right template and putting it to words is quite easy. Moving on, Uma.
Archana, should we take some before we move on to the
Yeah.
interview skills? Do you want
Yeah,
to
I
take?
think so.
Yes.
Yeah, I would question in case people aren't already
So,
sleeping.
so guys, if you have any questions in whatever has been covered so far, please type it in the chat box. We do have a few questions that's come up. So, shall we move into those while others are asking their questions?
Yeah, sure. So
So,
Vibhuti's question, right?
yes. Can we start with that question from Vibhuti and then we'll move on to a few others? There are 4 questions that we have. I'll stop screen
So
sharing.
Vibhuti's question is a valid one. Okay, would asking for repeated confirmation for greater clarity in the demands of the employer not be equated to a sign of incompetency? Why? If they are not clear in what they want from you, efficient to ask at the onset how to do it and then do it the right way, as opposed to doing it the wrong way and then getting a call from them and saying that, boss, what have you done? Employer who's put a requirement on the web is always open to queries, to reach out to some ID or write to, I'm sure Leaders for Tomorrow is also doing the same. So when you are looking at an internship, you don't just look at one advertisement and send your application randomly. You would want to discuss with them, what are they looking at, what is the program, does it really fit you, an employer interest, a genuine interest in taking up a job that you will commit to. And most often, those are the conversations that put a mark about your personality in the mind of the person who's hiring you. And nobody, you shouldn't be scared of asking questions. okay, to somebody, but just because he's hiring you and he's going to come in as your boss doesn't mean that you don't open up and ask. So agar unhone, for example, what if they have not told you what is the salary, or what if they've forgotten to mention something, whether it is paid or not? Are you going to be quiet then? No, you would not think so much about asking them a question about your pay, because that would be like a very big decision maker when it comes to a job. So you can always have an introductory discussion, and most of them are open to it also, and that number and the email ID for that is provided for that purpose only, right, Vibhuti? So I hope that answers your question. Unless you've had a bad experience sometimes, I would love to hear more about that, because this is not an ideal world. Okay, there are people who don't go in with that kind of an attitude when they're hiring, but the world that you're looking at now, post COVID, post pandemic, I think a lot of these things are going to change there. Hiring as a practice is going to transform. A lot of work from home opportunities are going to come up. Online workspaces are becoming popular. How are people hiring in that time? In such time, how are businesses adapting? You should read on that, and you should read on how hiring is happening. Okay.
Thanks, Archana. We have one more question from Muskan. She's
Yeah.
asking, how do we come to know which CV is the correct CV for us? I believe she's referring to the format.
Format. So, see, there are lots of different kinds of CVs. Okay, some CVs are career objective. Okay, they are designed to capture your experience. So if your profile is that of somebody who has a lot of professional experience, then there is a certain kind of format that you can use for that, because you know that your CV will be content heavy. And if you are a fresher, then you know that yours is a one and a half pager. There you are looking mainly to just categorize everything. Okay, to have headers, to have timelines, and to arrange small technicalities like जो भी सबसे recent होता है your academic pursuit में, वो सबसे ऊपर लिखें. Or after a while, like once you had 4 or 5 years of experience, nobody wants to know what you scored in your 10th, okay, or what was your where you went to school. It's more about your college and your work experience. So you go from the most recent thing and work yourself backwards. I would not prescribe to any rigid CV or any rigid format, because I told you that the document is supposed to convey who you are. So you should draft it in a way where there is clarity to look at. So when you see the document, it shouldn't look cluttered. Keep 5 seconds, 10 seconds when you look at it, you are not able to get the sense of what that document is about. So you should design your CV in that way. Following any template blindly is a mistake. The only exception here is if you're guided by your placement cell in college to follow a certain format. They want you to use a letterhead, they want you to put a logo, because that helps the person hiring identify you quickly, that this CV has come from this place. It's meant mostly to direct people who are not able to express themselves with brevity, because brevity is an art. Okay, to be brief, to be concise, to be able to talk in limited words is an art. So to put that in paper and to express yourself in one page, it can be a challenge. So your first step is to write about yourself as an essay, okay, and where you see yourself, your career, and just let the words come, and keep it to yourself, keep it private. When I was with Leaders for Tomorrow also, I used to do these kind of exercises with the team, because up until then they have not really socialized with themselves. आपको पता नहीं है कि आप कौन हो, या आपको क्या करना है, या आप क्या कर सकते हो, what is your potential. So you should try out internships. I have a question after Muskan, which is about what internship somebody doing geography should do. So geography is also, it's a very big sector. So what about geography interests you? What are the things that you like to study in that? Like I did journalism from Lady Shriram College, okay, and I have barely attended classes. Okay, I have sat in my class and done Leaders for Tomorrow work at the back end, but I've been a backbencher, but I finished in the top 5 in my class. But because I knew that that course was not so challenging, okay, if you're going to work with Benoy sir for 5 years, there is nothing that a journalism course from DU can give you in addition to just that. And so much of writing, so much of training and hands-on job. So when you look at an internship, the very first it's not like I didn't intern in writing, okay, I did take up journalism internship, but I knew very early on that the kind of journalism and writing that I want to do is not something that I will get to do in the way the industry is structured. So yahan pe, although passion is there and maybe a little bit of talent is also there, accessibility is not there. Okay, so in that initial slide that I showed you, it that matrix didn't fit. So I was able to decide that I want to move out from there and get into training, get into doing workshops, and work with the youth and work in counseling. I was able to decide that very early in my career, right out of college. In fact, I took out 1 year after college and I did that. So you can so there is no ready made answer to what somebody who's doing geography honors today can do tomorrow. Okay, but if you have a certain kind of job, like you want to work with the UN, if that's a target, okay, because you guys are doing internships in the development sector, I'm looking at examples that will be closest to where you're going. So if you're looking at working in like the UN or any development sector organization, then how can you look at opportunities that come with geography, social change? Those are the key themes here. And if you like writing about the things that you are learning, then you should look at internships that give you that chance. So maybe go in and write about themes that are related to, geographic changes. If you're looking at maybe teaching as a job, then you should look at going into an internship that helps you learn that skill, because your very first internship in or after college or your summer job is just to learn what an organization is. That's what my father told me. He said that pehle do internships jo tum karoge, you will be basically doing chai pani job. Okay, you're going to be serving people things at their desk, making sure their pencils are sharpened. You're not going to be doing any actual work, and that's okay, because up until then you've been living in a bubble. You don't know how organizations work, you don't know what is responsibility, you don't know what are deadlines and what happens when you don't keep them. So learning all of that is the very first internship. वो सारा awkwardness को phase out होने में काफी time लगता है. Your next internship, I'm sure you're going to come out, you know what is the kind of organization that you fit in. Like I know right now at the age of 30 that I can never work in a completely structured, well organized MNC. I can only work in scaling up firms where I get to perform. That's the only place where the work is not rigid. Every day is a new challenge. Every day my work is different. And nobody sits on my head and tells me do this, do this, do this. So you get to know, so use internships, understand what internship suits you on the basis of that. Don't think today I'm studying this, so this is the internship I want, because it is quite possible that in 3 years time or 3 months time, you will realize that this is not what you're meant to do. So look at skills that you want to pick up and orient your internships around that, your opportunities around that.
Okay, Archana, we have a couple of people asking different variations of the same question, which is that if you don't have a lot of experience or if you don't have a lot of achievements, what do you do? And also our other experiences, like we have tech kids who have extracurricular activities or volunteer work. Does that add to their CV? Is that something that they should project? And is it helpful?
Okay. What do you guys think about volunteering opportunities and internships, unpaid internships? Do you guys think that they add value? Right. So the thing is that long ago, okay, like 10, 20 years ago, everything was two things: curricular and extracurricular. Internship, extracurricular. Volunteering, extracurricular. This barrier is now getting broken down. Now curricular and extracurricular have come together. Okay, courses are always multi-patterned.
no, nothing is only about textbooks. Okay, so as that barrier is blurring, as that boundary is blurring, and you guys have something that we didn't have when I was your age. I have reached an age where I can say that. When I was your age, when I was 18 or 20, finding an opportunity to explore was you had to really work. Like, people in my class were working overtime just to network. And today you have LinkedIn, where if you write a blog, you're going to find 30 people just there who are exactly thinking the way you are thinking. So when these changes are happening, I think we have to sort of break away from these shackles of these old school thoughts. What is add-on experience? Experience is experience. If you have experienced in an internship where you are able to say that ये मैंने वहां से सीखा जो मेरे करियर के इस ऑब्जेक्टिव के साथ लिंक्ड है, that is all you require. That is how you know if there was value. So if you are a tech person, if you are a IT graduate, for example, you're pursuing your IT tomorrow, at least to do something in the field of IT, as long as it is secure, that is going to be the best option for you. You should break down geography honors into smaller segments. Look at things that interest you. If it is in geography, if it is something beyond geography, if it is writing that interests you, think about that, and then go from there into building your CV. And upskilling and referrals, I had already spoken about when I had presented about CV writing. Right now, you guys can really benefit from getting somebody to vouch for you. Okay, because you do not have a very big portfolio to show, you don't have a big line of work to show. So two three things you can do, like write blogs. Okay, write about your day-to-day things if you want to, because writing is a skill, and it is a skill that will last you forever once you learn it. Okay, so you write. Or like if you're into photography, you start clicking photographs and you keep it, make your own portfolio. You don't have to publish it to a lot of people, but you can have your own microblog. I'm sure a lot of you already have it. Okay, like everybody is on social media. Instagram is a microblog. Tweet, because if you tweet, that's also a microblog. So all of that can actually, so if there is a thematic resemblance, okay, if you are writing about similar topics, if you are writing about the development sector, for example, then there is a, so say you are writing about the development sector, you have done an internship in the development sector, and you have studied something about economics, then there's a direct string that connects how you are taking your career forward, or how you're taking your thoughts forward and your experience forward. Somebody from the internship that you did will say that, hey, he's really good at working at financial models for small and medium sized enterprises. So he did this financial model. So in Leaders for Tomorrow, it may be like, whatever, whoever worked on our financial model right now, maybe an intern, maybe a college student, because the average age of this organization is 18 to 20. So that person is definitely going to get a preference when they talk about this in the CV. Did that answer the question?
Yes. Archana, we do have a few more questions coming in, but let's move on to the next section. And at the end, if we have time, let's come back to those.
Mantasha's question is really interesting. How do we self-introspect? We'll probably take that up towards the end.
Yes. So let's the is that up?
Not yet.
It's up, right?
Okay. So this is a relatively smaller segment because CV and interview skills, as you may have realized right now, it's a C. You can't bring a C into a 1 hour thing. So if you have worked on your CV the way I told you right now, where you are starting from introspection and where you have been able to express yourself concisely, then half your work in preparing yourself for an interview is done, because it will make you very confident as to what are the key things that you're marketing about yourself, pitching about yourself. That I'll tell you how you can introspect also. But to talk about preparing yourself for an interview, a lot of people go to Quora. Like Quora, if you, I don't know how many of you read on Quora, but you should, because there's a lot of, you'll understand, what people are thinking. And there's a lot of information out there. So if you read a lot online also, now you will get very nervous, because I'm sure, even if like, one of the reasons why I didn't want to make it very specific today is because I don't want to scare you guys. Okay, I'm leaving everything open ended. The internet knows that you are nervous. Okay, they know people are sitting over there to make businesses out of your insecurities, of your uncertainties, knowing what are the things that you want to learn, or like, they want to make you anxious about finding jobs. Okay, they want to build that cloud over your head so that you will go to them and look for resources. So when you are looking at the internet, how you prepare yourself right now, also because the internet is a very big resource center. Okay, it's like a biggest library the world could offer. How you're going to use the internet, how you're going to use resources like Uma or me or Akshay to prepare yourself for what lies ahead of you in terms of interviews. Let's look at that. Can we move? Yeah. So there are just like 5 or 6 things that you have to do when you are researching companies before your interview. Okay, before, these are things that you should do before you go for your interview. One, research the company. Okay, know what is the company, know where you're going, who is the person who is hiring you. Tomorrow, if you realize that they are in a very big PR scandal, you probably don't want to be working there, right? So you need to know. So apart from that, study the job description very well. This is also important because you need to look at keywords, as I told you earlier. So study the job description very well, because the more you read it, the more deeply you read it, the more you know what they are looking at. And learn to present your resume or your CV. What happens is, a lot of times in the interview, instead of focusing on what you have already decided about yourself, you are looking at 5 or 6 questions or 20 questions, top 21 questions that are asked in interviews. That's the kind of stuff that you're reading. But that is not your resource. Your answers to the questions that come up in an interview are in your CV. It is in your CV. It is in your academic record. It is in your past experience. It is in your letters of recommendation. So keep going there to study about yourself, to prepare for the interview. There are few questions that you need to know, like how to introduce yourself, why do you want this job, why should somebody hire you. And these are questions you will be able to answer if you are thorough with your CV, with what you have written in your CV. तो अगर किसी को पैसे दे के आप बोलोगे कि मेरा CV लिख दो, तो ये एक ब्लंडर है. Rather, you should get in a conversation with somebody where you can see live how to edit CVs. I would love to do that someday with students and show them how you can edit CVs and how you can make it better. Be aware of your non-verbal messaging. You think your interview started when you opened your mouth, but actually your interview started when you stepped into the company. They saw how you said excuse me, or how you inquired at the front desk, how you were sitting, whether you were nervous or not, what you're wearing. All of that is telling them who you are and how you're going to perform. and prepare yourself for a conversation. If you're going to talk to somebody, you are not going to be able to decide about everything, right? You're not going to be able to predict everything. So go into an interview thinking it's a conversation, as opposed to thinking of it as somebody will ask me a question and it's a test, so I have to sit and answer. When you're talking to somebody, you will feel more relaxed. Your demeanor will show that. And sit like you're owning the place. Use that kind of body language. So those are the things that you can prepare yourself for a conversation. Look at your non-verbal messaging. Uma is really good at training people in their body language and non-verbal messaging. Prepare for key questions like introducing. So if you are somebody who's an introvert or who doesn't like public speaking a lot or who cannot talk much about themselves, then you should practice how you can introduce yourself, because there will be an opening line to a conversation, right? And that will be yours. And so, hi, my name is so and so, and it's very nice to thank you so much for this opportunity, or something like that. Those 4 lines, if you think you want to prepare, please do so. But otherwise, be open to a very calm, business casual is like the in thing now. So it's nothing is going to be too rigid. So go there and have a conversation, and then take it forward. Can we move on? Now, during the interview, so all that you have done now and you have gone into the interview, so be in the interview mode from the time you enter their office. That's because, like I told you, you think they are judging you inside the conference room, but they have actually started judging you from the time you stepped in. And follow the lead of your interviewer. What happens with me when I hire people is that if somebody cuts me and asks me a question that is not relevant to where we are in the conversation, then I know that that person is probably not the sharpest crayon in the box. Okay. So if I am talking to them about their ambitions and I tell them that, feel free to ask me a question, and then the first question that they ask me is what is the salary or what is your leave policy, then I know that they are not applying for this job because they are passionate about the company's objective. They are joining for some other reason. Everybody wants money, but if that is your sole objective, your employability dips. And then when you are in an interview, there are 2 things that can happen. A, it can go well, or B, it tanks. Okay, so if it really stinks and it's not going well for you guys, you should not, you should train yourself to stay motivated at that point in time. Tell yourself it's all right, because even though you think that you have screwed it up, a lot of time your attitude does most of the talking. So the fact that you are still conversing, and the fact that you are still responding, and the fact that you have not run away from that room is going to send a message to the person who's hiring you. And they know that as a fresher, you are bound to be nervous, you are bound to be a little clueless, and that you are bound to be, slightly awkward. So it's all right if all of that is getting manifested, as long as the conversation is moving forward. If you're going from one topic to the other and you're able to follow your interviewers direction in that conversation, you are fine. Okay, shall we move on? Once the interview is over, the interview is still not really over. You need to do a little bit of introspection, not too much. Just ask yourself, क्या मैंने सब कुछ बोला अपने बारे में? Structured as, did I structure the conversation the right way? The interviewer may have given you a slight, a lead. So you have interned with leaders for tomorrow, huh? If you are going to just say yes and move on to the next thing, that means you have not told them about the 5 or 6 things that you have actually learned here. That was an opportunity to market your experience with leaders for tomorrow that you missed. You might not have caught that in your first interview, but if you think about it afterwards, you will be able to get it. Okay, so think a little bit if you highlighted the right things so you can prepare better. Guys, I mean, right now when I speak to youngsters, I think keeping things in perspective is very important. Rejection is not personal. It doesn't mean that you are awful. It doesn't mean that you are going to fail. It just means that right now, in that particular organization, for that one job that they were looking at, out of maybe 300 people, you were probably not the best fit. Okay. And be patient. Sometimes people apply for jobs, interview ho gaya, they think in 2 days they'll get a reply. Sometimes they've told you they'll take a week or they'll get back. So, you just have to give them that space to analyze. They'll go through everybody. Maybe they don't offer you the job in the first run, they'll come back to you later. And you can follow up after the time has lapsed. So if they say 7 days, then after 10 days, if you're going to follow up, it makes sense. But be patient, don't be so excited. It's not sending any positive messaging to anybody. So those are a few things that you can take care of after your interview. And like I said, it all begins with the clarity of thought that comes from talking to yourself, how to introspect. It's basically learning to talk to yourself and talk to people who are interested to groom you. It is very difficult to find somebody who is interested in mentoring you these days. So your college does not do it because they are so busy with your academics. And once you get into the job, nobody has the time to groom you. So they expect you to come. That's where the gap really is. Okay, that what you learn in college and then what they expect you to do. Like I work with lawyers and we find all the time that the LLB degree that they have and what they are actually doing while practicing law has very little in common. Lot of skills are required to do it. And that gap can be fixed if you can find somebody who's really interested to nurture you. It may look like I'm marketing leaders for tomorrow, but there are like a few internships are that. You should find internships where you can attach yourself to people who can really keep you challenging yourself, grooming yourself, and moving forward. So that is one thing you should look at when you are looking at internships. Then apart from talking to yourself and talking to people, follow by working on making yourself better. Never stop upskilling. This is the best time to do that. There are a lot of like Upgrad, Byju's, then Doubtnut, lot of things online where they are offering vocational courses, okay, skilling courses that you can take up. And you can just study and these are self-paced courses. They cost like 500, $600, and you can just sit and read. Prezi is a site that has a lot of presentations that you can follow. And there are a lot of places, a lot of things online that you can pursue just to skill yourself without, it's like without moving. Okay, you don't have to go anywhere, you don't have to step out, so it's physically not so taxing. So hard work is what is ahead for you guys. And my 3 things that I feel every fresher should do before they start hunting for a job, before interviews happen. All of this will help ensure that your interviews are structured and the questions don't go haywire and they are largely predictable to you, because you are on LinkedIn, you are making professional connections, you are trying to build your portfolio on themes that are connected to your line of work. Okay, so if you're looking at photography, take pictures. Okay, if you're looking at nature photography, take pictures of nature. Okay, try and write on like blog. Okay, write about yourself. Keep it personal if you don't want to share it with anybody, but it is still a body of work, even if it is not published. So and take on upskilling classes and internships and courses. So even if it's just a cooking class, okay, today you think it's random, but if you're really interested in it, you don't know how you're going to monetize it. So many women are coming back and becoming entrepreneurs in these kind of skills because the industry across sectors is very mean to returning moms and people who come back after career gaps. So they monetize on these skills. They go back to internships. They go back to the courses that they did, the extra stuff that they did, and they use those skills to start over. So try all of that as well.
So, Archana, do you want to move into the questions immediately?
Yeah, why not?
So, shall we take off from what you just talked about? Because
Yeah.
we had Vibhuti asked the question at the very beginning as to, is entrepreneurship still a feasible option as a career choice?
It's a difficult option, okay, but it's not an impossible option. Okay, so if you think that, see, right now the economy is in a bad place, well, basically it's in the toilet, okay, but that doesn't mean that that's where it's going to stay in the long run. Okay, things are going to get better because it's cyclic. Economies can't work like this for a very long time. So, and a lot of people I know have come up with a lot of new business ideas like home delivery for food. in local areas, in rural areas where Swiggy and Zomato are not popular. So there are people who are doing that and they're charging moderate prices, but tomorrow, because they have the community support, they will be able to scale it up. So again, people who are doing online courses. So if you follow any bloggers, if you follow Instagram, a lot of influencers are there. Each influencer is a small scale business. Okay, they are making money. They're making enough to pay their bills. Okay, so there's a lot of branded content. There's a lot of there are a lot of who are now looking at doing webinars online. Okay, so they are actually monetizing on the reviews that they did by collating all the information and making it a course and offer it. So the minute I come up with an idea like that, I'm an entrepreneur. Okay, because I'm thinking of starting something, and I can hire 5 more people who are sitting jobless at home. I don't have to pay them quite as much. Jobs. Finding unpaid interns today is very easy because there are a lot of college students who just have 2 or 3 hours of classes in the morning and they are free for the rest of their day. So they want to use that time to do something, because sitting at home and not being able to do something is really bad for your mind. Okay, your brain was not designed to sit at home and not do anything. Okay, it's a wonderful machine, and you should learn to use it. You should learn to keep yourself sharp. You need to look for opportunities. A lot of people are looking for opportunities, and this is the right time to start up if you are offering a service. Maybe not if you can't go and start up something which involves manufacturing right now. Okay, but something that is online, like starting a website. Okay, if you have skilled people supporting you, you can still find some funding, and often if you are self funded, this is the best time. So if you're looking at a small scale idea which is catering to, servicing a small community, like say children getting into education, this is a very good time to get into education. Every parent out there has run out of ideas on how to keep their kids busy. So if you have a course that is amazing, like yoga for kids, so many yoga instructors have gone online. So it's not like if life will keep throwing something at you. Okay, like if it's not COVID, it's going to be something else. You have been so lovely to your planet, it's going to react at some point. Something or the other is going to keep coming. So you have to learn how to adapt and keep moving forward, because you still have the responsibility to yourself to thrive even in these conditions. So you have to keep marching forward and use technology. Abhi kaam nahi aayega to kab kaam aayega? When are you going to use, optic fiber, and 5G is coming up and all of that is happening? You should use that. That is an opportunity right there. But your ability to adapt and innovate is key here.
Okay. So, discussing about that, about what your skills and what your abilities are, can we go back to that question that Mantasha had about how do we self-introspect? How do we figure out what those skills and abilities are?
Okay. So I can tell you from my experience. Okay. When I joined Leaders for Tomorrow, volunteering was not fashionable. Okay. Social work was not fashionable. People did not hang out with me because I was going to slums for slum walks. Okay. And so at that point in time, there were days when I thought to myself, like, what the hell am I doing? Okay, but those converting those thoughts into thoughts like, what could I make out of this? Okay, it was a journey that I had to take. I have a 3.5-year-old child, and I know from experience that when we are grooming children, when you're raising children, we discourage them from socializing with themselves. You don't want your child to just sit and do something on their own for half an hour. You want to probe him. You want to give him asking questions. You want to ask him, "Kya kar rahe ho? Kya seekh rahe ho?" You will not let them be alone with their thoughts. I think that is step one. Okay, you go through your day. At the end of your day, you just sit and talk to yourself. You can start journaling. As cliched as these things will sound right now, I have started 3 blogs. In those blogs has helped me find, what my thoughts are. Like, putting my thought into words it's a habit. Okay, it's a habit, and that is the key of communication. So communicating with yourself, so getting into that habit is step one. Step two is putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. Leaders for Tomorrow forced me to do that for 4 years. there was nobody else who could do things at that point in time other than me. So if I had to take the movement forward, I just had to do it. I had to walk into meetings where I did not know what the hell I was going to say next. And I had to figure out what to say. Even here, right now, when I'm talking about CVs and interviews, I don't know where this conversation is going to go. I don't know what you guys are going to throw at me, what question you're going to ask me. But I have to trust myself. I have to learn to, look back and see what from my experience I can bring here. वो एक हैबिट है, वो करते करते ही आएगा. So you have to learn to stretch yourself. You have to learn to, in uncomfortable situations and groom yourself from there. I can't speak Hindi so well. Okay, now that was a challenge. That's a challenge that I had to work, and I was working in the development sector. I had to go into slums. Okay, I had to talk to people who are from, economically very different backgrounds, and they didn't speak any other language, and they always thought of me as an elitist only because I was speaking English. So I had to get into the habit of using Hindi, and now I can speak in Hindi, English, and Malayalam quite well. So that those are things that happen only if you are, ek to are you measuring what you have learned? Okay, today what did I do? Is my day productive? I wake up in the morning, what is my goal for today? What am I going to achieve today other than eating, sleeping? What else am I doing? What is the one thing that I want to do for myself? So I had a habit of making task lists. I still have the habit of making a task list. I still tell my reporting manager what I'm going to do today. And when I wasn't working, when I was parenting full time, I still had a task list for myself. These are the list of activities that I want to do, and this is my meal plan. So my brain was empty to do other things. Okay, to like actually give my child the time, to give my work the time, क्योंकि मेरे में वो clarity है कि मुझे आज क्या करना है. Goal setting every day, every month, every year. New Year resolution is not a one-time thing. Okay, in fact, you have glamorized it so much that it's become like a diffused idea right now. But you should set goals for yourself, and you should actively work towards achieving them. What else is there to do in life if not this? So start from there. I would recommend journaling. I would recommend putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. Don't shy away from an opportunity because you don't know what to do or how to do it. By doing it, you will learn how to do it. Always bite in a little bit more than what you can chew. Okay, and then you will learn, and that is introspection. That is learning by doing. Okay, learning about yourself by doing. And then also for yourself every day could be writing one paragraph about myself, because I went through 1.5 hours of lecturing by Archana. Let me tomorrow start by writing 5 lines about myself. Okay, by writing those पहले 2-3 दिन कुछ एक शब्द भी नहीं आएगा बाहर, because you are very shy about finding out who you are. For your we need to have to go through life and rebound from failures and things like that. It's going to really help.
Archana, we have Sudha Tomar asking how to identify this team at the right point, that they're unable to identify that for themselves.
So I would again say that I experiencing uncomfortable things. So till the time I was in college, like till the time I got into college, my school was just opposite my college, and my school was very big on extracurricular activities. So till that time, I genuinely only thought I was only good at talking and dancing. Okay, I really thought those are the only 2 skills that come naturally to me that I can work with, and those are the only 2 things I was confident about. ओके एंड उसमें भी टॉकिंग का तो मुझे उस टाइम पे नहीं पता था कि मुझे टॉक करना नहीं आता है. ओके, दैट आई गॉट टू नो व्हेन आई स्टार्टेड वर्किंग हियर एंड व्हेन आई हैड टू स्पीक to 30 different kinds of people, and I realized that was an illusion that I had, because I didn't have the general knowledge at that time. I did not have the habit of reading so much about world opinions of other people's opinions, to have an opinion of my own. So that I learned by doing. And then when you are exposing yourself, like here, if you're saying, I'm not sure of what are the different kinds of internships you're running, but if one of them is about writing, then I'm sure every day you're going to find a new skill just by doing that. Editing, you're going to learn typing, you're going to learn researching, you're going to learn structuring your thoughts. Okay, you're going to learn how to, use your mind to think about one particular thing for more than 5 seconds, which in today's generation is a big thing to have. Okay, so not being fickle minded, to persevere. But I don't know how you can pick up a hobby, or how you can pick up a talent, or how you can measure your skills or your expertise in a particular talent without actually exposing yourself to a space where you are testing it, not learning it, but actually testing it. So here, for in an internship, that's the challenge. Now you have to do what you're learning, you have to immediately translate it into a product. You have to if you're learning how to report, you're immediately making it into an article. If you're learning how to design a website or a poster, you have to immediately put it into a result, and then you have somebody who will critique it. Because you are an intern, they're going to really rough you up. But then that's what happens, na? That's how coal becomes diamond. So they really rub you, and then and scrub you, and like, they make some days though you're going to feel like, what the hell, like, why am I doing this? Why am I putting myself through this? But it'll be very rewarding, because once you have done those 3 months, once you have done your 30 days, you're going to find that the fact that you overcame the challenge and achieved something will be great. Exposing yourself to opportunities, and Uma is a great person to tell you how, what your strength or weakness is. She's very good at judging people and assessing your skills. And also, if you're working with her or somebody who's worked with her, you will surely be able to identify what you're really good at. You can start by things you enjoy doing also. That's also a good starting point.
So, talking about starting points, we have Ananya who wants to know how to start. So she wants to know where she can find basic internships, especially if you don't have any experience in the field.
So see, especially if you don't have any experiences in that field, is it's not the first thing that you should say. Okay, if you're looking at venturing into any new field, nowadays 40-45-year-old guys are also going into new fields where they have no experience. A chef will decide to tomorrow take on photography. These things are very normal in today's world. So how do you start? You start applying. Okay, you again go back to the basics I started with. Generate opportunities for yourself. How do you generate opportunities for yourself? You assess your passion, your talent, the reward, and the accessibility to opportunities there. So in this case, in case of internships, you have websites. Okay, a lot of websites. You have LinkedIn. It's a gem that I have very recently found, because lawyers rely on it a lot, because so much of becoming a lawyer and setting up your own practice is personal branding. So I have realized that LinkedIn is a treasure trove, okay, of connections, professional connections. And also, I think if you have a blogging today, the website, uh, World Wide Web is a big space where you can set up your own channel. You can, so those are ways in which you can work on your own self, on putting yourself out there. First step, opportunities will start coming. People will want to collaborate. If you have something to say, people will start coming to you to be heard, to hear you, and to listen to you. Okay, so that will happen. You can look up websites. You should put your profile on LinkedIn and start following people who are relevant to a field. If you have a particular field of internship है, तो जो भी वो field है, उससे related people को follow करना शुरू करिए, उसके बारे में लिखना शुरू करिए, उसके बारे में पढ़ना शुरू करिए, कंटेंट शेयर करना शुरू करिए, एंड stop being scared of having an opinion, but try and have an informed opinion. So those are the 2-3 things that I would say would be a good starting point, and build your CV towards that field, okay, and towards that internship.
So coming back to the first part of building CVs, but before we go into that, guys, if you have questions, keep them coming, because we do have some more time when we can take questions. So keep them coming. We'll go back to some of the questions that we got at the start. So when building your CV, when presenting your CV, about the length of the CV. If you have sufficient work experience or extracurricular activity, how far back should they be dated? Like I did something in class 3 or class 5 in terms of that, and how far back should it be dated? And also, is it preferable to have a short, crisp CV, or should I mention all my achievements in there?
Yeah, so I would say that work backwards. Okay. One, there are two ways in which you need to categorize what you put in your CV. One is relevance. I danced in class 5 is relevant if you are going for a dance job. Okay, if you're a dance teacher or if you're going to do a thesis on dance in related to dance, you're going to be a researcher there. But it is not relevant if you are looking for a job of a writer. Okay, or in my like I'm an operations manager. So for me to go back and say that if I got a prize as an all-rounder, then that is relevant to what I'm doing right now. Okay, operations management is basically running the show day to day. So when I'm doing that, they want to know that I'm somebody who can handle multiple things. I can coordinate. I have the basic communication skills to work to talk to my colleagues, to talk to my superiors, and to talk to people who report to me. So those are the kind of things that I want to reflect. So you want to see what is the relevance of the things that you are putting into your CV. One. The second is you work backwards chronologically. So you start from stuff that happened in the recent past and move backwards. Now, if you are a fresher, you can go as back as say class 10th. Okay, and you can maybe summarize what are your key achievements. Like if you've got some awards like an Olympiad, or if somebody really important presented you with an award, you can mention all of that in a small, crisp part at the end. Okay, that says that you have done something beyond academics. It is not so relevant anymore. And about the length of your CV, if you really want to add, like, you want to write an essay on your experience in Leaders for Tomorrow because you think it was one of the most rewarding experiences you've had, or you want to write something about, when you went to teach in rural India, you want to write something about that, you can attach that as a as something in addition to your CV. So एक तो कवर लेटर ऐड करिए जो आपके सीवी को थोड़ा ब्रीफली बताता है. Cover letter for freshers is not very relevant, but except that it will tell them that what is the position that you are applying for, where you found it, who are you, and describe yourself in 2 words. That's a cover letter. Okay, so you do that, and then that gives them a summary. It's like an abstract of a thesis. It gives them a brief view of who you are. Your CV will give them a chronology and a slightly elaborated sense of who you are as an individual. What is your sum of your experience, some of your exposure. At your end, they are actually gauging your exposure and how structured your exposure has been. Is there any sequencing? Did you do this where you learned A? And then did you make a move in your career to this? For example, if I have studied B.Ed and I became a teacher, then when I was teaching, I found this lacuna in the curriculum and I picked it up and I became a researcher in alternative teaching methodologies. That is there is a connection of growth that you're able to very clearly show in your CV as a sum of achievements. Okay, so how you exposed yourself, how you grew from that exposure. So you can put it in that text also, but try to keep your CV within one, because your freshers largely. So one page is a good enough space for you to arrange your content. And I had given you some samples, so go into a format of headers and description so that एक look में पता चल जाता है कि फंडा क्या है. Your CV is like a poster for yourself, so try to keep that in mind when you're writing it out.
Coming to the heading of that poster, where you have the objective or the profile that you fill in.
Yeah.
What is more relevant? Is it the objective or is it the profile, or should it, whatever it is being put, should it be a combination of the two?
Yeah, you should put it should be less than 2 lines, 2.5 lines about who you are, what is your key skill, and how you want to grow in that company. Why are you applying for that job? So I am a teacher, okay, with 3 years of experience in working with differently abled children, looking to help autistic children learn key skills, A, B, social skills or whatever. So one or two very specific things. So once you have had 5 years of work experience or 3 years of work experience, you will be able to write about yourself in that much clarity. Today, as a person who has not tried anything new outside of college, writing like that about yourself is a bit difficult. So you can say that I am a fresher of X, looking, say, in the field of IT, looking to learn programming, and very passionate about doing this, serving the X larger objective, making technology accessible to all. Okay, or taking technology to rural India, taking power to rural India, whatever. So those kind of goals you can express, provided your objective is reflected in your CV. Okay, the sum of the experiences that you have put down in your CV just the objective that you have. So you can't sit a dancer and a magician and say that you want to take India, because you have nowhere said what is the skill that you have. Every student who wants, what about how to take technology this led to this relevance of experience, and in what chronology did they happen? CV.
Or you achievable experience, how should I go about tweaking or even begin with the creation of a LinkedIn profile is something that Vibhuti wants to know.
So LinkedIn won't tell you that if you are a student, don't make a profile. Okay. So you can make a profile in LinkedIn quite the way you make your profile in Facebook. What you do in that profile on LinkedIn is the question. Are you, how do you get followers on Instagram? How do you get followers on Twitter? You write about a few things that you think will get eyeballs of those people who are like you. So you generate content on LinkedIn which is related to, you're in a technical college. You're a first year student in a technical college. You write about what you're learning. Okay, what has that experience been? You do not know who is going to comment there. You do not know what are the kind of people who will offer internships to you. I'm studying about Java, but my teacher is not, giving me a chance to even express this. LinkedIn as a blog or as a post, or you put it on Twitter, you may actually get people, and you use the right hashtags. People will tell you that, I have an internship for you. Why don't you come and join this online class to learn about Java? Because everybody is looking to make connections, boss. You're not the only one. You think you're the only first year student in a technical college who has minimal experiences and achievements? No, every first year student is the same, right? In terms of experience, how you expose yourselves, what are the opportunities that you pick up, that sets the difference. Right now, you are sitting in an online meeting and talking and thinking. That's a good thing, but don't stop there. It's going to feel like it's a very complicated experience because you're getting so much of information, okay, from somebody you have just met. Okay, but then if you're going to have key takeaways from this, if anything that was discussed today lit a light bulb in your mind, and before sleeping you're going to think about it, if you write about it, and if you make a decision to work with planning, planning is the best thing that you can do for yourself, for your career. Everybody says youngsters today, too polarized, wasting time online, doing, meaningless things, always about partying, not focused. Your parents will say how when they were 18, they were 20, they were shouldering family responsibilities. They had a very clear plan, which probably was getting a government job, because at that point in time there were only 4 kinds of jobs. But now that's not the case. Choices have become, there are many things that you can do. and choosing has become a challenge. Okay, knowing what opportunity to pursue has become a challenge. That's where time has come in the last 10 years. Every 5 years, lifestyle is changing completely, industries are changing completely. HR as a field, it's something that I studied like just a year, 2 years back. And what it is right now, there's a vast difference. Hiring now and how they were hiring back then has changed a lot.
So I think with that, let's take the last question, which is the big one. Uh, Mantasha wants to know how to be confident.
I would like to start by asking her what she thinks is confidence. If she or anybody else who's still listening, what do you guys understand? What is confidence? What does it mean to be confident? सब सो गए?
Let's give them some time to reply. Can you guys type it in? How to be confident? What is confidence? Sorry. What does confidence mean to you? While you guys are typing that in, just a side note for all of you, we've noticed that a lot of you have been having network issues in between. So don't worry if you've missed out parts of the session. We will be uploading this as a video on our YouTube channel and sharing link with you guys. Lost out on some session, don't worry about it. All right. We have some other.
We've had some inputs. Yeah. You share, Uma, what's coming in?
Yes, so we have Muskan saying that confidence to her means speaking up or doing something without any hesitation. It's to express yourself properly. Dhananjay says that it's our ability to present ourselves and our ideas in front of others. It's by taking steps ahead towards our goal,
Well,
having faith in what we've learned and achieved. It's protects us without.
a little underconfident. So that, Umar, to convey what we actually want to say. So, see, you guys have to understand that communication is one thing, and being confident about who you are is another thing. When you, one of the things that I had worked very, very passionately when I was working exclusively with college students was, dealing with body image issues, telling them that you don't have to dress a certain way. You guys won't believe that I had a meeting. I was just talking to Uma yesterday about it because it's one of the most, scarring memories that I have in my professional life, I must say. I went for a meeting with India Times and I had 4 business heads over there. And I was wearing Mickey Mouse slippers and a 3/4, and I was wearing the world's most hideous jacket. And I had turned up for this meeting. And I had gone there, and I had gone there with another college student who had just joined the organization, doesn't know the L of leaders for tomorrow. So I have to in such a way that I do not burst her confidence also in the organization and everything that I've been teaching in class. And I had to also keep myself together. Of course, that meeting ended with them not giving us anything because that's how things worked back then. Like nobody thought youngsters could do meaningful work. If there was no party, if there was no live concert, nobody will come for events. So nobody gave us money. So all that happened. But going through that gave me a lot of confidence because now I know I can never find myself in a situation that is more difficult than that. You, I'll reveal a little bit about myself and tell you guys that all that experience, my ability to bounce back from such experiences has given me the strength to take some really bold decisions in my life, personal as well as professional. So it comes to you being the starting point, I would say, is to be in connection with yourself. I know I sound like a spiritual guru when I say it, but the fact is, if you don't know yourself that well, if you don't understand what you're good at, if you don't identify that, sadly, today's education system does not allow you to know that about yourself, because they have one yardstick that everybody has to fit in. So it's like, if you don't know maths, you are dumb. It's not like that. It doesn't work like that. But because you have been conditioned to think, if you don't know maths, then that's a lacking. It's that's a loss. But because of that, you will not be able to do certain things. Or because you don't dress a certain way, you will not be presentable in certain circles. Can you not do social work without carrying wearing Fab India? You can do social work wearing whatever the hell you want to wear, as long as you are comfortable wearing that. That confidence comes from you being in connection with who you are and knowing where your self-worth is. So life is going to keep changing. Today you are insecure because you don't have professional experience. Tomorrow you will be insecure because you tried something and you failed. So those kind of experiences are going to keep coming. Life is going to get challenging, life is going to get complicated, life is going to get restrictive. Today that is not the case. So today you can experiment, today you can learn, today you can challenge yourself, and your elasticity to learn new things is at its maximum right now. After the age of 35, learning new things becomes difficult. It's never too late to set a goal, though. So confidence to me would be that, to be in, once you know who you are, nobody can take that away from you. That's an information about yourself that will reflect in the way you write. It will start reflecting. So Uma, for example, now would know what is my opinion about something without me having to actually articulate it, because my attitude, my personality is already aligned in a particular manner. I'm non-conformist, I'm agnostic, all of that is visible. That comes from exposing yourself. Very, very important to try different things, of stepping out of the textbook, meeting people, go join classes just to talk to people. Okay, put yourself out there. You may fail the first time you try to mingle with somebody. It doesn't mean that you don't mingle or connect at all. Go for these kind of webinars. There are people far better than you who are doing this kind of stuff, and I'm sure Leaders for Tomorrow can bring them to you also. Our own alumni is quite amazing. It's a fantastic talent pool, and listening to them and learning from them can be a very, very rewarding experience. I also learn from a lot of speakers. There have been some amazing speeches that I have heard at Leaders for Tomorrow summits that I still remember and quote from. In fact, a lot of things I've said today I've also been saying when I was 20, by the way, because those, it stays with you. That's kind of, so I would say confidence building is something that you have to learn by doing. You cannot learn anything that I have spoken about today by simply sitting in a session. That is step one. Acting on it, taking things out from here, reading up for yourself. You have to be an active participant in your own life. Nobody else can come and do that for you. You cannot passively sit aside and give your CV and your career to somebody else and say, even if it is your parent, you cannot do that. Better than anybody else.
So Archana, we have one more question on the CV building. So they just don't end.
Okay.
We want to make the perfect CV by the end of the session. So can you tell us what keywords are important that you mentioned that attracts the
Yeah,
attention? So Vinny Chitkara wants to know what the keywords are that needs to be mentioned in a CV.
So keywords are not stagnant. Okay, they are not 5 great words in English vocabulary that you have to mention. Keywords are derived from the job description. Okay, so you open any job website, you read any job description, there will be 5 or 6 things that they're looking at. Okay, they're looking for somebody who has work experience, doesn't have work experience, or they're looking for somebody who is from these cities or not from these cities. They're looking for somebody who has experience in ABCD things would be mentioned. Those are your keywords, because they will be control F searching for those things in your profile. और अगर वो नहीं मिला या उससे रिलेटेड कुछ नहीं मिला, तो आप शायद वो इनिशियल स्क्रीनिंग से निकल के नेक्स्ट लेवल तक नहीं पहुंचोगे. तो सीवी के ड्राफ्टिंग में एक टेक्निकलिटी वो है. दूसरी टेक्निकलिटी क्रोनोलॉजी आती है, to draft your objective, the headline of your CV, and how you design all of that is slightly technical, but that is not the key. The key is keyword is a technicality. I understand. You should Google it. Keywords and job descriptions. You will find something. Templates, if you will Google, you will find pages and pages and pages of just that. And fresher के templates का तो endless count है क्योंकि सबको पता है that you guys are searching online for it. So everybody who's hunting for hits, who is hunting for views, is going to write about this content for you.
So then from amid all of that content that's just staring at you, how do you pick the right? We touched on it, but because somebody was asking about samples for preparing their CV, how do you figure out what to pick from amid all of that?
Samples, okay. Right. I had picked those samples from my own experience of hiring. Okay, so I have seen all kinds of CVs. CVs where people have unknowingly used incorrect English, where people have, with the intent of impressing, used a lot of fancy words, but really ended up, being counterproductive. So I had juxtaposed some CVs for you guys. So look at it, something which is clean, okay, which doesn't look cluttered, okay, which doesn't, so you have only 3 or 4 things to say. It is okay to accept that. Everybody is saying that I don't have enough experience. You are not supposed to have experience right now. It is not a lacking, it is not something that you are deficient in. It is the state where you are in your life. 5 years down the line you will have experience. Okay, so don't think that you don't have enough things to say, so you clutter, because you're the person who is hiring you knows that by only being 3 years out of school, you only have this volume of experience. So you only have 3-4 things to say, and that's fine. But having clarity on what are those 3-4 things to say will do a lot of good in clearing out your CV. No, so when you pick up a template, you need to look at a template that is slightly, that should convey your personality a little bit. So if you are somebody who's looking at designing and marketing, and if your CV looks like it's from the 60s, people are not going to hire you. Currentness has to be there in your, that relevance has to be there in the design. I had shown you some designers' CV also, where they had put, she had added a little bit of a talent to it. So for somebody to see, like she likes doodling. There's another interesting question. Are we supposed to add certificates to your CV? No, you're supposed to send in your CV and mention your achievements. They will ask you once they have hired you to show the proof of the achievements that you have mentioned there. Like sometimes, like if you have a president's letter of recommendation, you don't want somebody to actually ask you for it, you want to flaunt it. So you can attach it as an email at the end of the day. You can send one more document, you can put an appendix or something of that sort, and you can just sort of keep adding addendum karke. You can put. But apart from that, and every certificate is not relevant. Okay, I have certificates from when I was in nursery. अब उसका यहाँ पे I must have been a really nice toddler, but like I don't need that for my employer to know. Na? He doesn't care. So I don't need to add that here. But if I've got something like for working and doing something which is socially relevant, because volunteerism is always in fashion now. Everybody wants to know how you're giving back to society. In a world where, minimalism has become a way of life, sustainability has become an everyday conversation now. Healthcare is as an industry has died and it is getting resurrected now. So many changes are happening, right? So people are always looking at youngsters who are tuned into that. So any experience you have that reflects all of that is relevant. So you can add all of that. The CV you're using to apply and the one you use to apply for higher studies. बहुत फर्क है ना? So Siddhant, your question is very valid. Now, I have worked with students who are applying for higher studies abroad. Okay, they don't judge the student on the CV. They look at the CV. They look at your statement of purpose, SOP. There may be a personal essay. There will be a few subjective things that you have to write. all of that together, all the documents together have to again show the same connect that I was talking about. So if you are an engineering student who's going into working in power, in the sector of making power available, energy, alternative source of energy, how you got there, what is your inspiration, what incident triggered that, knowing that kind of clarity. If you are applying for higher studies in India, for example, or somewhere, say you have done your UG in A course and you're doing your PG as a specialization of that, your CV has to convey why you have chosen that specialization. Okay, what is the objective of going into that course? Whereas when you're applying for a job, the objective is why you want to join that particular firm, why you want to work in the sector that that firm is working in. That's the key difference. और जब यूजी से पीजी के लिए अप्लाई करते हो तो you don't have much to convey except for your marks. That is important because in India in particular, everywhere marks is a criteria. Then you need to have any kind of research work or publication work or anything that you have done, especially if you are a tech kid, if you're in a vocational field, I mean. Okay, so there, whatever portfolio you have showing that is important. If you are writing for a doctoral position, then what are your research interests, how you got there, conveying all of that becomes relevant. So that's the difference.
Archana, quickly, because it seems very relevant, can we just answer this question? Does every skill or achievement require a certificate or an accreditation? Everything that's mentioned in the CV.
See, at my age, it doesn't always. But when you are starting out, your key achievements, something as at least a referral, okay, if not a certificate, at least a referral of that person. So again, to quote from this context, if you are working under Uma, okay, or if you're working under Akshay, then at least their statement of who you are, what you have done is important, because you can say that you are the president of a country. Nobody is going to believe you unless you have some factual evidence, some proof of that. So from that perspective, yes, but not only certificate. It can be a referral. It can be like a letter of recommendation. It can be anything. Like nowadays, firms even ask you to give 2 phone numbers and designations of people who can vouch for you, whom they can call up to talk about you. So anybody who can put in a good word for you is also that. So that connection, that networking is also important. That's also valid. That can also be converted into an aspect of your job application.
Thank you so much, Archana. I think that takes care of all the questions we had, and I think we've touched on almost every aspect possible. So for our audience, we will be sharing feedback forms with you. So feel free to add on any more things that you would like to know. We'll try to get a hold of Archana to answer those questions. If you have any, also we would like to know how the session has been, what more you would like to experience with such sessions. And a huge thank you to Archana for coming back, conducting this session. It's been for me personally, it's been wonderful listening to you do a session after such a long time. But I'm sure it's been extremely beneficial to everyone who's attended it. So thank you so much for spending such a long time taking all the questions and giving us so much information that is so relevant to every single participant today.
Okay, it was really nice to connect with Leaders for Tomorrow after a hiatus. And I'm glad that I'm a part of something like this. And I'm really congratulating the people, the minds that have put programs like this together. Your webinars, your talks, the programs that you're doing on Instagram, they're wonderful. And you should look forward and see what are the other things that you can do. I think every intern who is here in the program today has the potential of doing something extraordinary, and I'm sure that their experience here will translate into that. So thank you so much for having me, Uma.
Before we hang up, I want to add a small thing and introduce a few people to you. I'm not sure if their connections permitting them to stay online, but there are 4 people who really insisted that this happens. and made it possible. So this is the concluding part of a 4-day campaign we've been having as part of the World Youth Skills Day. And there are 4 kids who've been planning the entire thing and really pushed me to get this training done. So Maria, Navya, Kangan, and David, congrats for pushing me to and getting me to get Archana on board for this. And you guys are doing a brilliant job. If you can switch on your videos, I would like to see your faces. I see Maria, but Navya had been on. I think Navya just dropped out. Kangan, we have Maria. I can't see. Can you wave so that we know who you are? Brilliant job. They've been doing a fantastic job at the entire campaign right from the start. We've had an online discussion yesterday, and we had the training with you today. So, brilliant job, guys. Congrats.
Excellent. Good to go.
Thank you so much, ma'am. You were back of us every minute, and we are very grateful for having such a person like you in our LFT.
Thank you. It's wonderful to connect with you. I've left my email ID here if anybody wants to pursue this conversation further. I had a wonderful time connecting with you all, and a great program put together. Way to go.
Thank you all for joining us.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. We will have the video put on YouTube. We will share the link with all of you along with the feedback form. Also, we will be having some follow-up activities, including internship opportunities for those of you who are still waiting to join. We have 3 internships that are live right now. We have a Reporters for Tomorrow internship. We have a Human Resource Management internship and a Social Media Marketing internship. So if you are still looking for applying, do apply, and hope all of you will take all the things that we've had in the session and, like Archana said, act on it. Put together your CVs. If you want us to have a look at it, feel free to share it. Archana's shared her email ID. If she's not able to have a look at it, feel free to share it with me. I'm sure I am on some group with you. So you can share it, get my number and share it with me even on WhatsApp. We'll take a look at it. So hope you had a great time. Thank you so much, Archana, and thank you all of you for joining in.
Thank you.
And
Thank you. Guys.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.
So thank you for that, everyone.
Bye.